Hello, my portrait capturing friends, or my friends who just want to capture portraits but don't know where to start with gear. Today, this video is for you. We'll be talking mostly about lenses today, but you can go budget for pretty much everything. In fact, the sponsor of a portion of today's video is KEH, who has high-end gear, cameras, lenses, lighting, for budget prices, but more about them later. So we will be discussing lenses today. I'm sharing with you a variety of portraits, some classic, some more creative, that I have captured over my last more than a decade here on YouTube. I've used a lot of different gear, including different brands, so I'm going to share categories of lenses today rather than specific brand name lenses. That way, no matter what system you're using, you will get a solid idea of lenses that you can use for portraits at different price points. In case you're new here, hello, my name is Leigh. As I mentioned a moment ago, I have been sharing videos here on YouTube on photography and really anything where you may have a camera in your hand for over a decade. Every so often, you will see me accept a sponsor for a project or a video. I'm quite particular about who I will partner with. Today, we have a company that I trust, KEH, who has been a sponsor on this channel for nearly a year now. KEH is the original re-commerce company. They buy, sell, and trade photography gear, and they've been doing it for over 40 years. I've been using KEH for years now to sell my own gear and to purchase gear as well. I could go on a rant about how much easier it is to sell my gear to KEH than to use an auction site or any other method that I've tried, but since today's video is about budget lenses, let's focus on KEH's used gear that you can purchase. KEH has a huge range of equipment, all the way from entry level to high end, but because you're purchasing used gear, you are naturally getting a discount, which makes some of that higher end gear quite a bit more accessible. All of KEH's equipment is tested and graded for quality assurance. In fact, their grading system is something I really appreciate. It is clearly explained on their website, so when I have purchased from KEH myself, we know exactly what to expect when we receive our purchase. Because I am enthusiastic about KEH, I joined their affiliate program, which means that if you use my links and my codes that are listed in the description of this video, you will receive a discount on your purchase of used gear or a bonus on the sale of your used gear. And then I get a small commission, which helps keep this channel up and running. So thank you to KEH for sponsoring this portion of the video. And thank you to those of you that use those links. All right, let's discuss lenses. When I say lenses on a budget, what do you think of? Is it a dollar amount? From talking to thousands of photographers in my time here on YouTube, I can say that each of you has a slightly different answer. For some, a budget lens means a couple $100s. To others, it can mean a lens had for less than full price, or a lens option that is less expensive than a similar option. So in this video, I will share lenses that span a wide range of prices, so there should be something here for everyone. To some, a budget portrait lens is a lens they already have, or a lens that they can use for a wide variety of genres of photography. For example, a mid-range zoom. We're talking right around 24 millimeters to 70 millimeters. Or if you have a lens that is optimized for an APS-C sensor, maybe a range of around 17 millimeters to around 55 millimeters. These lenses often have a constant f2.8 aperture, or maybe f4. These lenses can be used for a lot: landscapes, street photography, portraits. Some people may find the long end of these lenses a little bit short for portraiture, but remember that most cameras have at least some latitude to crop in a bit of post-processing, which effectively provides you with more reach in a tighter portrait. A classic, the 85mm prime lens. Now these can vary quite a bit in cost. There's f1.8, f1.4, there are lenses made by camera manufacturers, there are similar lenses from independent lens manufacturers. I currently own 3 85mm prime lenses for my different systems. An 85mm prime lens can be a portrait photographer's best friend because the focal length is just really convenient for a classic portrait. And they often open up to a wide aperture if you want to get creative with depth of field, and prime lenses are generally quite excellent in terms of optical performance. There are several ways to save money here. Go for an f1.8 version over the f1.4 version. Go for an independent lens manufacturer's 85mm for your camera brand's mount, or even stray from the classic 85mm. This was captured with an older 105mm f2.8 lens. Actually, it was a macro lens, so similar to how the 24 to 90mm mid-range zoom can do multiple jobs for you, a mild telephoto macro lens may check a couple of boxes for you as well. Similarly, a 50mm prime may be a superb choice. Choice being the important word there, because there are a lot of 50mm options out there for each brand and each mount. Again, prime lenses can be very crisp and they often open up to wide apertures. They can be great on full frame for a wider portrait or a portrait with multiple people, or they can be quite excellent on an APS-C sensor because you end up with an effective field of view of about 75mm, which may be just right for you. Now, you can capture portraits with any lens. I've used a 70 to 200mm lens. Those may not always be inexpensive, but if you already have one for your telephoto pursuits, or if you've been wanting one, it may end up being essentially a budget choice if it's going to do more than one thing for you, like I have mentioned a couple of times, like with the macro lens earlier. And speaking of lenses that you already have, or lenses that can serve more than one purpose for you, what about your kit lens or your super zoom lens? These types of lenses are not often considered portrait lenses because they can provide less crisp results, and the apertures generally don't open up very wide, so you are limited with depth of field effects. But that's not to say that you can't use them or that there aren't workarounds for using them for portraiture. I discuss that and much more in my complete course on classic portraits. If that is something that interests you, I will add a link in the description of this video to learn more about channel membership so that you can see that course. Beyond specific lenses, another thing to think about is previous generation lenses. Camera manufacturers will improve lenses over time, especially popular lenses like those mid-range zooms that we discussed before. Does that mean that the previous generation lenses are suddenly garbage? No. I still have my Nikon F-mount 24 to 70mm f2.8G lens, and there is at least one newer generation out there for F-mount. Purchasing the older generation of a lens can be quite a thrifty decision, especially if you are looking at used lenses from a trusted source. Okay, your photos are far more about timing, light, and location than they are about gear. You saw a number of photos that I captured with gear that was not top of the line then, and it's certainly not considered top of the line now. Don't get me wrong, there are certain benefits of having a wonderful 85mm f1.4 lens, but it isn't necessary. If you have an APS-C sensor camera, maybe a 50mm f1.8 would be better for you. I have a 60mm prime, a 65mm prime. Those are options too. I encourage you to think about the lenses that you have and your style of portraiture, or what you would like your style of portraiture to be, and go from there. Don't let not having the most expensive brand new lens be your limiting factor. Don't let it stop you from getting creative with portraiture. Again, I have a complete portrait course. It's nearly 3 hours long, and it is available to members. I discuss gear as well as technique in that course. The link is in the description to learn more about channel membership. Also in the description are links to keh.com along with my codes so that you can get a discount if you are purchasing gear or a bonus if you are selling gear. Before you go though, let's start a discussion in the comments below. What is your favorite portrait lens and why? What camera do you use it on as well? Commenting what you use may help someone else out there. A big thank you to KEH for continuing to support this channel, as well as my gear habit. And thank you for watching.